Hey good people, it's David Johns, and I'm here with another edition of Three Things. First up, in case you missed it, and I'm not sure how you could have, a new Texas law bans abortion after a physician detects a fetal heartbeat, which is typically around 6 weeks into a pregnancy. Now, medical professionals have noted that based on a typical menstrual cycle and the 6-week time frame given, a person could ideally have 1 to 2 weeks to determine if they want to terminate a pregnancy. And as a result of all of this, many will miss the 6-week time frame. Now, instead of the state of Texas enforcing the ban, Texas is instead relying upon private citizens, even individuals living outside of the state, to sue anyone who, quote, aids and abets in an abortion in exchange for cash judgments of $10,000 from those they sue. Those liable to lawsuits include doctors, nurses, insurance companies, and transportation providers like Uber drivers who drive women to clinics. Now, this sounds to me like a disaster waiting to happen, especially in a country where privileged people are already advantaged legally. The Supreme Court has declined to stop the ban from taking effect, and the Department of Justice has sued Texas, stating that the law is, quote, an open defiance to the Constitution, end quote, and against established precedent in cases like Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. As a former elementary school educator, a kindergarten teacher in particular, in this moment, I'm reminded that sometimes, and frustratingly, it's adults who make things unnecessarily complicated. Her body, her decision, period, full stop. In case you're unclear, this law puts women in Texas at risk, and if the law stands, it could establish a dangerous precedent that will put women across the nation at risk. And action must be taken now to stop restrictive and regressive abortion regulations and laws. The House and the Senate at every level should pass the Women's Health Production Act, which would protect the right to safe and legal abortion, while also making it difficult, if possible at all, to pass these restrictive laws, making it difficult to access reproductive health services. I encourage everyone to contact your local representative and your senator and ask them to support this act, remembering that they work for you. Second, John M. Wallace, a Missouri teacher, resigned after administrators told him, really forced him, to remove the pride flag hanging in his classroom. Wallace put up the flag along with a sign that read, "In this classroom, everyone is welcome." How about that? He did this to ensure that all students and members of the community feel and are welcome. If they did already, probably wouldn't need to do this. But it was parents who complained, saying Wallace would potentially teach children how to be gay, and that he was pushing a, quote, agenda in the classroom, end quote. Look, y'all, that's just not how this works at all. Think about it. If it did, the heterosexual agenda would make sure that all of this was a moot and irrelevant point. Now, Wallace has resigned after having been, in my opinion, coerced into signing a letter stating that he would adhere to existing no promo homo laws, which makes all of this illegal and a fireable offense. And he since filed a complaint with the Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights. Those who know me know, no surprise, I applaud John Wallace and any other educator doing God's work to do what's required to ensure that all students feel and are safe and supported. Just as cis and presumed heterosexual people are able to express their sexuality and feel comfortable doing so in public schools, so should trans, queer, and non-binary students, teachers, and members of the school community. Expressly and explicitly keeping LGBTQ+ and same-gender-loving materials out of classrooms pushes an agenda, one of exclusion and discrimination. That is the heterosexual agenda at work. Third, the LGBTQ Victory Institute has released their 2021 Out for America report, which provides an analysis of LGBTQ+ elected representation in the United States. Currently, there are 993 known LGBTQ+ elected officials, comprising nearly 20% of U.S. elected officials across all levels of government. The 2020 election cycle saw more than 220 trans, queer, and non-binary candidates elected into office. And there are a record number of Black, trans, queer, and non-binary people currently serving in office. To be clear, this is a legacy that's existed for some time. We've been here. Over the past year in particular, there has been a 75% increase in Black, trans, queer, and non-binary elected officials, which is nearly a 300% increase from 2017. Y'all work. Now, while great progress has been made in representation, 5.6% of the population that we know of as LGBTQIA+ are same-gender loving, which means that 28,116 more trans, queer, and non-binary people need to be elected to office now to ensure equitable representation. All of this to say the current math ain't mathing, and we need to do better. Now, to celebrate this historic moment and number of Black, trans, queer, and non-binary elected officials, NBJC is excited to launch the Good Trouble Network. This is the first ever network of Black, trans, queer, and non-binary elected officials. The network is designed to highlight and to support the work being done by LGBTQIA+ and same-gender loving elected officials to advance policies and practices benefiting our people, families, and communities. You can learn more about the network and our inaugural convening by visiting NBJC's website, nbjc.org, and following NBJC on the move across digital media platforms. I'll see you next time.